On the cover of the Contagious Catholic, you will see a dandelion spreading its seeds. And I want to say that my husband and I moved into our home here this past January, and I was on the phone with my mom, and she asked, do you have a lot of dandelions in your yard? We have a ton that are sprouting up. And I said, we don't. I don't know, just doesn't seem like anybody really has dandelions around here. And I recently met my neighbor to the left, and she was out kind of pulling out a few of her dandelions with a little rooter tool, and we were chatting, and I said, yeah, there really aren't a lot of dandelions. You've really done a good job keeping that up. And she said, we never had dandelions until that man down on the corner moved in. And the summer he moved in, his entire yard was yellow with dandelions, and the wind just picked it up and blew right over here, and now we all have dandelions. So I think that is definitely what the Contagious Catholic is about spreading our seeds, about getting everywhere, about saying this has never been here before, and we are going to become so contagious. We are going to become this vessel of change. While, it may not be in a weed form, although dandelions, my daughter does think that they are a flower and loves to pick them apart. While we're doing that, we are bringing Christ, we are bringing love, we are bringing everything that the church stands for, truly at its roots, into the world. And if we're able to do that in a way that Marcel communicates in this book, there is no doubt that all of our neighbors will have nothing to say other than, Christ wasn't in this community until that person on the corner moved in. Hi there, welcome back to My Catholic Perspective. I am Allie Marie, and today I am going to be doing a book review on The Contagious Catholic, The Art of Practical Evangelization by Marcel Lejeune. So Marcel is the president and founder of Catholic Missionary Disciples. He has written a couple other books and has helped several people find the Catholic faith and become very passionate in that faith. And the way that he goes about that is by talking to people, by developing relationships, by being present with people, asking questions, and everything along those lines. And that is what he goes through in his book. I think that the fundamental aspects of this book are very good. He really takes everything back to the basics, is probably how I would have to phrase it, by saying, we need to stop trying to lecture about theology, we need to stop telling people how wrong they are and get back to how it was that Jesus evangelized. How did Jesus talk to people? How did he approach people? And it was through his love and through relationships that he did that. He focused on the 12 apostles who then went out and built apostles. And that's the Great Commission, is to go forward and baptize all nations in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Our mission as Catholics is to bring people to Christ, to the Catholic faith, to bring truth and enlightenment. And Marcel talks about how the best way that he has honed over the years, the best way that he has seen come into fruition to bring about the best results, has been to be more like Christ, to meet people where they are. With that being said, I do have to say that this book layout is not my favorite. So the Contagious Catholic, the whole idea is to bring others to the faith. It's how do we become a contagious Catholic, and how do we implement that in order to help others become contagious Catholics. This book happens to feel like there's not a defined target audience within that, I would say. It feels like within a chapter, within a couple paragraphs even, it'll go back and forth between talking to me as if I am already a contagious Catholic, and then talking about what I need to do to become a contagious Catholic, and then going back to talking to me like I am a contagious Catholic again. So I almost feel like I wish that it was broken into two sections, even though a lot of it overlaps, because in order to get ourselves to the point of being a contagious Catholic, he's utilizing a lot of the tools and explaining a lot of the tools and, step-by-step approaches that he's taken to talk to people. And so he's saying, here, consider this, and here's this type of Catholic, and this type of Catholic, and this type of Catholic, and this type of Catholic. And he presents it in a way that's saying, this is how you want to present it to somebody, and then it's like, now examine those and see where you are on it. And it isn't congruent, I don't feel, throughout the chapters. Maybe if the chapters were in a different order and it was in a part 1 and part 2, like how do I become a contagious Catholic, and then how do I help others become contagious Catholics, I feel like I would have an easier time getting through the book, because as I was trying to read it, it really did feel like, am I a contagious Catholic? Am I not? I really relate with this part, but then suddenly he's talking like I have to become one, but then I'm not, but then I am, but then I'm not. And so it's like he's using the tools, like I said, like that he uses in real life to talk to somebody. And I think that because he does do an amazing job, clearly, in all of his testimonies, and I mean, Abby Johnson, he talks about as one of the people that he helped bring to the Catholic faith. When he is in person with somebody, it sounds like he does a phenomenal job at meeting them where they are. From how this book came forward, it seems that it was difficult for him to meet the reader where they are, because a book has a wider audience. It's not a one-on-one conversation anymore. And so I can feel it in his words that he's almost trying to meet everyone that he's ever met in the same book, jumbled together in all of the same sentences. So that would be my critique of the book. Like I said, the foundational message of it is very, very good. If you're able to get past how you're applying it to yourself, even though it's hard because he's asking you to apply it to yourself, and he's trying to say, take this and how does it look like for you and all those pieces, and it doesn't, but if you can get past that, aspect, I think that there is a lot to glean from this book. I mean, just like treating others how you want to be treated, and talking about what conversion is. He uses a specific conversations that he's had with people, and just that the whole step-by-step piece of how do we get to be a contagious Catholic? How do we become the disciple that is like Christ's 12 apostles? How do we go out and witness? And how do we help 3 people find the faith and train them enough so that they can each go out and train 3 people in the faith, so that each of them can go out and we suddenly have exponential growth in the church? And I think that his mission in that is a beautiful mission. I think that from what it sounds like, I have not met him in person, but what it sounds like is that he is just amazing to talk to. He knows how to get to somebody's heart, how to help them feel understood, and like long to get to know them genuinely, how they function, where they're from, what they believe, why they believe it, and actually try to meet that person there, instead of saying, oh, well, you believe that? Well, this is why you shouldn't. And actually just sitting there and being present and talking. And I think that that's something that a lot of us, a characteristic that a lot of us can learn from. I know I can learn from it even in my marriage, let alone strangers on the street. But I think that there is definitely a lot that can be taken from this book. And while I felt that it was a little jumbled and maybe the target audience wasn't clearly defined, or that it wasn't laid out in the best chapter order, anything like that, I think that ultimately the Holy Spirit is going to work through this book in so many ways. And I definitely would recommend that if you are longing to be greater in your ministry, in your personal ministry with people, if you are looking to deepen just your understanding of how it is that Jesus did approach finding people to follow him, finding people to live out God's true and genuine will for our lives, I think that there's a lot that you could gather from this book, a lot of tools that you can add to your toolbox that will undoubtedly make you a stronger and more contagious Catholic. I'll definitely put a link below in the description for you to be able to order your own copy of The Contagious Catholic, as Ascension Press has recently released. And I definitely do recommend just checking it out, whether it's a Kindle version or paperback, whatever you prefer. It's definitely a good read for while we're at home and have the extra time. I pray that God is able to grant you the resources that you need to draw closer to Him and to those around you, and I hope you're able to make it a great day.